Hey everyone, welcome back to another reaction video. Today is another Pokemon video. That's right, we are reacting to a Pokemon game theory. It was suggested by Ocean the Gacha Alpha Dragon. And this one was game theory. These 25 Pokemon are dead because of you. Wow, that sounds harsh, to be honest. Judging by the images and all that, this is basically talking about Legends of Arceus. For obvious reasons, but yeah. Apparently, that's the case. Now, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, being told that 25 Pokemon are dead because of you. I guess this is talking about how we don't see the Hisuian, I think that's the name, forms of certain Pokemon anymore. And I want to hear why. As crazy as that sounds, because that sounds ridiculously harsh, and I'm kind of curious why. I'm horrifiedly wondering what could have caused 25 Pokemon to be permanently killed. So, with this said, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when a new video comes out. If you have any video recommendations, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll react to any of those videos as soon as possible. And finally, the link to this video will be down in the description below. So with all this said, let's get right on into it, shall we? Let's go.
Congratulations! You are killing Pokemon! In the established canon of the Pokemon series, we, our player character at least, are the reason that at least 25 Pokemon species have gone extinct. That's not even really a theory. It is established within the canon.
So it's not a game theory, it's game facts. Wow, that sounded dumber than it did in my head. So there are facts of why 25 Pokemon are permanently dead. Yeah, I can see that. So let's
To be fair,
see.
it's buried way down in there and requires you to connect a few dots, but I have 100% confidence that Game Freak has expressly put this in here for observant, dedicated players. And perhaps strangest of all, this steamrolling of the wildlife, us bumping innocent animals.
Oh yeah. The Pokemon stars were Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Oshawott. Man, I can't even pick. I picked all three for their generation as my starter. I guess I have to pick Rowlet. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Oh, that's a word. That's a woodpecker. At least I hope it is. Anyway, yeah, these three. can't pick. But if I had to pick a favorite, like I said, Rowlet. I don't know, I just liked its final evolution a lot more. So yeah.
Animals permanently off the mortal coil, it's all because of a message from God. The Pokemon god, Arceus. He gives us this divine mission to exterminate the Mon. If you thought Pokemon lore was weird before, just wait until you hear this one. Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory, the only show that's nerdy enough to remind you that Ho-Oh isn't just a Pokemon, it's also the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide. Drop that knowledge bomb.
I sometimes forget that, to be honest. Chemistry stuff in Pokemon by its names. Guess you can get inspiration anywhere.
The next time you're in Mrs. Nagy's third period chemistry class. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 things that are certain in this world: death, taxes, and new Pokemon games. We just had a Pokemon Presents last week. We're rapidly approaching the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
I don't like the fact that legendary Pokemon were used as vehicles. Sorry, it's just the ride Pokemon in Alola makes sense. They're for transportation purposes and stuff like that, but I don't know, it's just the fact that we are dealing with legendaries becoming a riding vehicle. That is just disgraceful, in my opinion. I mean, look at Sword and Shield. We have literally a bike that goes on water if we get the proper adjustments. So why can't we do that in this region? Why can't we?
Pokemon Go is making itself a bit of a resurgence. In short, Pokemania is in the air. So I figured it was time we took another look at the series. And what better game to talk about than the smash hit of 2022, Pokemon Legends Arceus. While recent remakes have literally just been recycling the Pokemon...
The remakes were okay. I just zipped right there. Took me 2 days, and that's only because I had to keep charging the battery and let the thing charge for just getting all the badges and all that. Plus, I had stuff to do in the morning, so managing to do it in 2 days is pretty cool.
Pokemon formula that's been reused since the mid-90s, Legends Arceus threw that formula out into the trubbish. It's the first game in the core series to give players an open world to explore. But while it certainly was a new look, it wasn't a new world. In this game, you're actually running through an ancient version of Sinnoh, the region from Gen 4's Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. How far back in the past are we talking?
Platinum. I missed that game. I'm a sucker for Giratina. Sue me. It's one of my favorite legendaries. First being Darkrai, but that's a mythical, so I guess my favorite mythical. Well, my favorite... I guess my favorite legendary would be Giratina.
Unfortunately, the game doesn't explicitly tell us, but based on the somewhat modern amenities of Jubilife Village, like binded books, brimmed hats, and steam-powered Pokeballs, as well as the architectural inspiration for the Galaxy Hall, the game seems to take place in the Meiji era of Japanese history, which took place from around 1868 to 1912. And given the houses and clothing in Jubilife Village seem to resemble that of the Edo era, the era prior to Meiji, more likely to be closer to that 140 years ago mark. So really, this thing was one part Pokemon game and one part history lesson for that fictional region. And while it's certainly fun picking up on all the similarities from 2 games set in the same region from 2 different time periods, like map locations, logo artwork, and ancestral connections between NPCs, what...
Holy cow, I never noticed that. Eh, ignorance is bliss. So, does that mean Team Galactic gets a copyright frame for taking a logo? Or taking a logo and trying to change it in their own way? Because that would be hilarious in my opinion. Because basically you're just moving this part over here. This part right here. Sliding it over so that it could fit this here. And then sliding this over into a form that can actually match within this. Hilarious in my opinion.
What really tickled my theorist senses were the differences between the two regions that seem to have happened in that 140-year gap. There are some obvious ones, like the region's name being changed from Hisui to Sinnoh and isolated camps evolving into
Actually, how did it do that? How did it turn to Hisui to Sinnoh? I mean, you don't change a region's name without a certain reason. I mean, come on, no one does that. Or no one should do that. No one could do that?
into urbanized cities, but clearly I'm not here to talk about my love of geography or urban planning. I'm here to talk about the biggest difference of them all, the Pokemon. There are a good number of Pokemon that we find in the Hisui region that are completely new, ones that don't make an appearance in the Gen 4 games, their remakes, or any other core installment in the series. Doing a quick comparison of the Hisui and Sinnoh dexes shows us that there's a whopping 25 Pokemon that are found somewhere in the Hisui region that are completely absent from other titles. Pokemon like the adorable Hisuian Growlithe and the hauntingly new evolution of Basculin, Basculegion. But why? Where'd they go? We've been in this region before. We've seen everything there is to see here. And yet, in the 140-year history between this game and Gen 4, 25 Pokemon apparently got wiped out. Unsurprisingly, the game never explicitly says what happened to all these Pokemon. Based on my findings, it's for a good reason. You see, they're shielding us from the truth. We killed them. We're responsible. We're the reason those 25 Pokemon variants are gone now. We made them go extinct. So come with me, loyal theorists.
Wait, wouldn't that mean if we're a cause and they're an effect, or maybe taking us there was the effect, but wouldn't that mean Arceus is the one at fault for transporting us there?
As we go big lore hunting to figure out what exactly happened to all these new, old Pokemon. But before we set off on adventure, we have to be equipped like a Pokemon trainer. Have you ever stopped to think about how much stuff a trainer actually needs to carry?
And I'm gonna have to skip this. I really do.
Comes in. That's right, it's merch drop time. Starting with our newest and most advanced
here.
Speaking of, let's start by looking at one of the first new Pokemon that we get to see in the game.
So if you want to check that out, check it out on the link below to see this video and see that. I think it might be already too late to get it, but who knows? You might be able to get something. Can't say for sure. Anyway, let's continue, shall we?
Wordeer, the long-awaited evolution for the Pokemon Stamp.
Yeah. It's one of the many Pokemon we wish there was an evolution for. You know, I had a younger sibling that asked me, is Bufalon the evolved form of Toro? Well, I did ponder that and did some research for a bit because I didn't know anything about that. It was something that I wished happened. And that was a Tauros actually knowing how to evolve, because every Pokemon within Kanto now has, well, almost every Pokemon has a evolution. Not counting legendaries for obvious reasons. I mean, there was only like a small bit that doesn't have a pre-evolved or evolved form now, so just saying.
Stantler. Now, in Legends Arceus, Stantlers are plentiful. You practically trip over these guys. But in Sinnoh, not so much. They can only be obtained on one specific route using the Poké Radar. And as for Wardeer, they don't exist. Like,
holy cow. I actually never noticed that, to be honest. I mean, in my old Platinum game, and Diamond and Pearl, well, old Pearl, never got Diamond, but still, you only appear, those only appear in one route. A lot.
not
Others would just, like, appear very, very rare.
at all. For a Stantler to become a Wardeer, it needs to use the move Psy Shield Bash a total of 20 times. But Psy Shield Bash isn't a move that Stantlers...
Psy Shield Bash. Psychic type move. Yep. So...
can learn in games set in the future. So not only has the overall number of Stantlers shrunk, but it's also lost the ability to use a move that's critical for its evolution into Wardeer. That's weird, right? So inevitably I have to ask the question, why? Clearly the game designers consciously made this decision, so what are they trying to tell us? What reason would Stantlers have to forget an entire move? Well, Wardeer's Pokedex entry actually gives us a hint.
The black orbs shine.
Alright, good entry. Good entry. I actually kind of like the fact that you made it sound like a Pokedex, but did Pokedexes exist back then, or did you have to write it down into a scroll so everyone can see it?
I guess I can't use my normal Pokedex voice since this game doesn't have an electronic Pokedex. Gotta go with the old-fashioned method.
The black orbs shine with an uncanny light when...
Is that really what they did? Wow, that's weird.
the Pokemon is erecting invisible barriers. The fur shed from its beard retains heat well and is highly useful material for winter clothing.
Useful in cold weather, huh? Sure sounds like something that the citizens of the cold Hisui region would find pretty valuable. Once people read that Pokedex entry, it's likely they're going to be tempted to try and get their hands on Wardeer to obtain that precious fur, especially as they continue expanding into areas like the icy north. So it would seem like Wardeer were hunted to extinction for their fur, while the remaining Stantlers did their best to avoid evolving, choosing to flee rather than fight, much like real-life deer are known to do. For the Stantlers, evolving just wasn't worth the added stat increase if it made it harder to survive. After generations and generations of Stantlers avoiding fights with humans, and especially avoiding the use of Psy-Shield Bash out of a fear of evolving, they would eventually forget how to use the move entirely.
That's sad. Okay, that's terrible. So just because a Pokemon entry was made for said Pokemon, they can't use a move because of the fact that something that belongs to their evolution just seems too valuable to give up. And from the map, like 1/4 of the map was ice and snow, so ugh. That's terrible though. I mean, in the current era, it wouldn't probably matter. But still. And with the tools they have in Modern, that would mean that they can actually just take the fur without killing the Pokemon. Something Hisui didn't have. Well, like how? That explains so much.
In order to help their chances of survival. No Psy-Shield Bash means no evolving, means no Wardeer. And they aren't the only species that was basically bullied into extinction either. Take the Hisuian Quillfish, a regional variant that's been totally wiped out from Sinnoh by the time Gen 4 rolls around. Looking at its
So, is this like an evolved form, or just like a different form of
Pokedex entry, though, immediately you start to see why this guy might have been on the chopping block. It tells us that
Fishers detested this troublesome Pokemon because it sprays poison from its spines, getting it everywhere. A different form of Quillfish lives in other regions.
if you look at the Cobalt
Okay, so it's a form that exists there. Okay. So basically like a Lola and yeah. Okay, makes sense. Plus the reason behind it doesn't seem too far off, because judging by all the stuff, fishing is probably a must in the Hisuian region. So it would make sense that would be the case, but yeah. So I guess if you're not careful, any fish that would be food or anything as such would probably get poisoned and be unhealthy to eat. So that's why I guess they're extinct. Am I
Coastline,
right?
one of the main locations for Hisuian quillfish, we see that in the intervening 140 years, this actually becomes Gen 4's Route 223, a prime fishing
Really?
location thanks to the Sunny Shore Market and a swimming location on the way to Victory Road. What this tells us is that fishermen, fed up with the poisonous quillfish, hunted them to extinction so the coastline could be better used for commercial and recreational purposes. They eliminated what they saw as a problematic fish, which directly leads to what we see in Sinnoh years later. And it's not like it would be hard for them to do either, considering the Diamond and Pearl Pokedex entries called quillfish a poor swimmer. There's
Oh, dang. But also, that's not a good reason. I mean, if it was to limit food that they're fishing for being poisoned, I guess that makes sense, but for that kind of reason, it just seems kind of petty to me. But then again, if they live everywhere, I guess that makes sense to a degree, but it also doesn't. Because if they don't, then you can just go to a different location.
also a second reason that fishermen might have wanted
sense.
to get their hands on the quillfish, but this one isn't as directly called out. Food. We've talked over on Food Theory about eating Pokemon, but quillfish are likely to be a delicacy in this
Wait,
universe.
what? Wait. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that sadly makes sense. Crud. That means the food people eat in Pokemon. Oh, shoot. Oh, that sucks. I'm hoping that they wait till, like, they're in very old age before they even decide to kill them, but that's just putting my hopes up. I really don't want to think about it.
There's a type of real-world pufferfish called fugu. It contains a super deadly neurotoxin, just like our good old poisoned type Hisuian quillfish, and it too is a delicacy in many parts of Japan, only being served by specially trained chefs who know how to prepare the meat without killing their customers. Hisuian quillfish would probably work in the same way. Regardless though, whether it was to clear a nuisance or fill the restaurants, humans were the ones that wiped these guys out from the coastlines of Hisui. Speaking of being hunted, let's look at two more examples of hunted Pokemon, Hisuian Voltorbs and Electrodes. Looking at them, it's immediate.
Those two? Why would they be hunted to extinction? What makes sense?
Clear that these two have had some of the most dramatic changes in their design. The Kanto versions of these Pokemon are made of some sort of metal-like compound, while the Hisuian Electrodes Pokedex entry says that the body is made of a, quote, material curiously similar to apricorn wood.
Wait, apricorn? You mean the thing that makes Pokeballs? The thing that makes the top half of the Pokeball. Well, the bomb is made of metallic metals that I think anyone can just get from anywhere just to make them, so... Wait. Are you saying...
Now, this is an important detail because
No.
historically, apricorns were used to make Pokeballs. In Legends Arceus, apricorns are everywhere. But in Sinnoh, there's no more of these trees to be found. So what happened? Well, by the end of
Well, not in the wild. More like in controlled spaces, but yeah. Yeah, I
Legend
can see where you're
Arceus,
going.
because of the work that we did throughout the game, people are now looking to catch Pokemon for themselves. As a result, it's likely that they began to harvest apricorns at an alarming rate to craft their own Pokeballs. But in the rush, no one thought to do it sustainably, and suddenly there are no more apricorn trees left in the region. So, without the wood to build Pokeballs, what do you do then? You start to hunt the animal that has a body made of a very similar wood, Hisuian Voltorbs and Electrodes. Over time, to avoid going extinct, Hisuian Voltorb and Electrode may have evolved into their metal form that would prevent them from getting poached by the would-be Kurts of the world. And this directly mirrors the animal behavior that we see in real life. Many elephants are slaughtered specifically for their tusks, right? Well, this has historically been happening so much that elephants in heavily hunted areas are now starting to evolve to have smaller tusks, or even no tusks at all.
I don't like the fact that that's the case, to be honest. I find it very cruel to do something like that for just so small reasons. I mean, okay, they're valuable. I don't get why. They're a part of an animal. That's like taking away an arm and leg from someone. That's like someone going up to you saying, "Hey, I like your arm. You mind if I cut it off and take it for myself?" Or, "Oh, you have two blue eyes. May I scoop them out so I can have them for myself?" I mean, we don't like it. So why do we have to do it the same thing to animals? It's cruel, in my opinion.
Since poachers are hunting them for those tusks, elephants with no tusks have an evolutionary advantage, thereby passing that trait along, just like a metal Voltorb and Electrode would have a survival advantage over their wood variants. But it wasn't just overhunting that was a problem in that 140-year period, it was also an overuse of the region's resources. Ursaluna and Cleaver
Ursaluna and Cleavor?
are two new evolutions of Ursaring and Scyther that we see in Legends Arceus that require the use
Really?
of the specific
Ursaring had an evolution, so that means he had a third form. I mean, he could evolve past his second form. And Cypher had what? A side evolution? That sounds really cool. Wait, lack of resources? But what do they need to use those resources for? Alarming rate, Capricorn. Was this to make Pokeballs?
item to evolve. Ursaring needs the peat block and Scyther needs the black augurite. And while Ursaring and Scyther are certainly easy to obtain in the Gen 4 games, their evolutions aren't
definitely.
present because neither of these items exist anymore, which we can explain by looking at the differences between Hisui and Sinnoh. The peat block item is based on the real-life material known as, well, peat. Basically, it's like a precursor to coal. It takes thousands of years to form, and it can be burned for fuel. Based on the cities that we see in Gen 4, it's clear that there was an increase in industrial
Human evolution. How we evolve population. How we evolve our civilization. Okay, that sadly makes sense. At least it's not too much of a cruel thing.
Industrialization means machines, and machines need fuel. And hey look, here's a readily available material that's just laying here with no other discernible purpose. Might as well use it until it's gone. Black augurite actually suffers a similar fate. The name originally led me to believe that black augurite is based off the mineral augite. However, looking at the in-game sprites and description, the two don't seem to line up. Its black, glassy texture actually makes it more likely to be obsidian. Obsidian's a material that's made from the rapid cooling of lava, and it's been used for centuries as a sharp material for tools. The only active volcano that we see in the Hisui region is this one off the Cobalt coastland, which, based on its shape, is what they call a cinder cone volcano. Cinder cone volcanoes don't tend to make obsidian. The only other place it could have come from is Mount Coronet, which the box art
Mount Coronet was an active volcano. And it cooled down and formed... Oh. It's because the volcano itself. Oh, crud. I mean, it's not impossible to regain that kind of material. I think you probably have to ask a different region that has active volcanoes. But yeah, I guess you have to find a volcano
Notes
that
seem to
match.
imply is a volcano, but it appears to have been dormant for years. Therefore, it's safe to say that black augurite is going to be in limited supply. It, along with peat, are non-renewable resources. So when humanity expanded its presence in the region and wound up using up all these items, Ursaring and Scyther no longer had the ability to evolve. You know who else disappeared from the region because the natural environment changed? Arcanine, Avalugg, and Decidueye, who all have Pokedex entries that specifically mention being adapted to the colder climate and snow of the Hisui region. Hisui is an island, and islands are small. When habitats are smaller, that means that the organisms that live there need to become more specialized. For example, take the famous finches studied by Charles Darwin on the Galapagos.
Okay, I think I understand where this is going. Some Pokemon that were a part of this just couldn't evolve anymore due to, well, climate change. As awkward it is to say that. And since, well, uh, well, I guess because of now population modification through civilization, that the ice cold isn't as cold as it used to be. Because it could have been even worse temperature. And it could have been a temperature zone that we, as of right now, couldn't handle. But people back then could.
Islands.
Holy
What he
cow.
saw was that
That would
each
explain
finch
that.
evolved a completely unique beak shape based on the island that it lived on. This comes with the benefit of making you really well suited to your environment, but the downside is that if anything changes, then your specialized traits won't do you any good. And that's exactly what happened with these Hisui Pokemon. As humans expanded their reach into the area, as they industrialized, the climate of Hisui became warmer. This uptick in human development, the deforestation that came with it, all of it led to a shift in biodiversity of the region, meaning some of these Pokemon were no longer able to make the cut. Now, these are only a few examples of what happened to these region-specific Pokemon, but you can see the pattern, right? All of these Pokemon are gone thanks to one specific factor: humans. Humans plundering resources, humans overhunting, humans over-expanding. In the 140 years between Legends Arceus and Gen 4,
That sadly seems the case, but there is one Hisuian Pokemon that probably can be possible to call upon. Though the methods for it are something I don't think anyone wants to do. And that's Hisuian Zora. Because it's Zora, but it's dead. It dies. It's something I don't want to say for someone to do, but it is a thing that sadly exists.
humans have completely morphed the landscape of the Sinnoh region, and the game designers have clearly thought through that history. They didn't just insert designs and evolutions into this world arbitrarily. The whole thing was thoughtful, intentional. It was told to us through hints in the Pokedex. In the end, we get ourselves a game that has a really strong environmental message if we just bother to piece together the breadcrumbs that they left behind for us. Except there's still one piece that I haven't connected. During the game, we learned that the people of Hisui are afraid of Pokemon. Some even worship them. The little village that you start off in isn't able to expand more because they're afraid to face the monsters that lurk out in the wilderness. But someone changes that, and in so doing, signs Hisui's death warrant. That person is you. At the start of the game, your character is
Yeah, sadly that's the case. But technically, wouldn't it be Arceus' fault for transporting us there? Because, in all honesty, come on, man. We got transported there by literal God. So, yeah.
called back in time by the god Pokemon Arceus. When you land, you're immediately tasked with catching Pokemon, something that other people are afraid to do. But you know better. You come from the future, so you persist. You teach people that Pokemon can be your friends, that they can be used to help with chores. You can even collect them and use them for competitive sport. Without this fear of Pokemon, the human race is now able to expand throughout Hisui. Thanks to you, they're no longer afraid to hunt Wordyear for their fur, to exterminate pests like the quillfish, or to use up the land's natural resources. If you had decided to not be a hero, to not save the day, the region would have remained too inhospitable for civilization to truly grow, and humans would have chosen to avoid it entirely. Kinda makes you wonder if that god Pokemon who sent us back in time was so benevolent after all. But hey, here's your last reminder to head on down to the description to get your hands on the latest line of Theorist merch. Whether you're looking to
not gonna do
Pokemon aren't much better off. You can check out
the
that
one
theory
where
by
he
clicking
figured
right
out
here.
Pikachu-
Or you can
try to
find out
figure
what
out
level
Pikachu's
Ash's
level.
Pikachu is by watching the video on your right. Yep, I really did the math. While you're at it, throw a Pokeball
Holy
over at the
cow,
subscribe
you
button so
got
whenever we do more
crazy to do
theories, you'll
that.
be the first to catch them.
But seriously, this is crazy. It's horrifying to know that these Pokemon died because of us. The only reason I would see for Arceus to do it is that something in history changed. And he's trying to fix the error by making us go back and fix it. And that is scary, to be honest. There's too much to say about it that's just frightening to say. And while I can still say I believe there's like very, very few Hisuian Pokemon that can still be there, the method is probably not going to help. Like I said, Hisuian Zora, which is just Zora that died but was angered and won't rest and is filled with hatred and all that. But still, that's a thing that I hope never happens. The fact that we'll never be able to see these Hisuian Pokemon again is a terrible thing. That means we can only get these Pokemon once, and that's within its game generation. So, wow, that's sad. So, yeah. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content, and all that. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when a video comes out. If you have any video recommendations, leave it down in the description below. I'll react to it as soon as possible. Also, tell me your favorite Hisuian Pokemon. And while it's sad to actually say it, I do like Hisuian Zoroark. Second would be Hisuian Ducey. I can't say the name right. But yeah, anyway, the link to this video will be down in the description below, so be sure to check out the original video to see it uninterrupted by me. If you want to see all this stuff that Matt Pat has up, go ahead and do that. Give him some love and support for the video he made that was reacted to. And finally, with this all said, I hope you all enjoy once more, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.